Today we're going to make some steel table legs. I got a 2-inch wide 1/4-inch piece of bar stock from Home Depot and cut off some 8-inch pieces, and then took the remaining piece and cut that in half with my angle grinder. Now, I have no previous welding experience except for a couple times that I tried it in college, but I was surprised at how relatively easy it was to get started. Now, my welds aren't very beautiful, but they are pretty strong, and I wasn't able to break the metal apart. I ground down the welds so I could see whether or not I was getting full penetration and actually connecting the two original pieces of steel, and to my surprise, it seemed like they were going pretty good. After welding the flat bar stock into T-shapes, I then built a jig out of plywood. This jig was just to ensure that the two table legs that I was making would be relatively symmetrical. Not super symmetrical, but relatively symmetrical. I got a bunch of 3/8, 5/16, and 1/4-inch bar stock from Home Depot, and I just used bolt cutters to cut it. I just laid them up against the bracket and did quick tack welds to the metal bracket that I had already made. I really didn't have a set plan or design for the legs. I just made the metal bracket, locked it into the jig that I made, and from there just sort of cut and welded bars on until it seemed strong and I liked the way it looked. Once I had the first 3 pairs of bars welded into place, I was able to take it out of the jig and add more structural supports. Now, I'm not sure if I needed these cross braces, and aesthetically I think it might be a little bit better without them, but I added them anyways just to be on the safe side, since I didn't fully trust my welding. Lincoln Electric isn't a sponsor, but I was really impressed at how easy this machine was to use right out of the box. I'll put links to all the tools that I used in the description box below. After I had tack welded all the rods in place, I put a wire brush attachment onto my drill and cleaned up all the welding joints. This allowed me to see where my welds were the weakest, and then I went back in with the welder and reinforced them all. I used my cordless drill to drill holes that will allow me to screw these table legs to the underside of the wood slab that I want to use as a top. Now, I want these holes to be countersunk, so I started first with a 1/4-inch drill bit before using a 3/8-inch drill bit just part of the way down to create a recess for the screw head. Now, my biggest concern in starting this project was in my ability to get the legs to be level, but that's why I made this jig, so that I'd have a level line that I could cut and grind the legs until they were flush to the jig. For me, design isn't just deciding what something is going to look like, it's actually figuring out easier ways to overcome the challenges that come with making something. I then switched my grinding wheel to a flat disc on my angle grinder and used that to round over the cut edges so the legs were a little bit more smooth. I then used my drill with the wire brush attachment again to really clean the legs up and make them look nice. The welds are still a little bit on the sloppy side, but at the scale of this design, I think it looks pretty good. I cleaned the legs with some mineral spirits and then applied a coat of paste finishing wax from Minwax. This is my favorite way to finish raw steel that's going to be used in indoor applications. Now, I don't want these legs scratching up my floor, so I dipped the ends of them in some clear Plasti dip. Now, this set of Plasti dip actually came with colors, so I could have made them gray to match the color of the steel, but I thought clear would be a better choice. Now, I could have just screwed these legs right to the underside of the slab, but I decided to use my palm router to route down into the slab about 1/4 of an inch so that you wouldn't see the flat bar bracket parts of the legs. Now, if you want to see how I prepared this slab and filled in all the cracks with molten metal, click on the link in the description box below. I have a video for that as well. I can't believe it's taken me this long to get back into welding. I was really impressed with how much I could do with such a small amount of tools. As someone that doesn't have a full workshop at their home, I really liked that I was able to make a pretty sizable metal project with tools that pack up really compactly. For more detailed instructions, check out my website, and if you want to see what I'm working on next, be sure to follow me on Instagram. Check out some of our other wood slab and steel projects, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Thanks. Bye.